Hey everybody, is that working now? Yeah, I guess I was muted in the app. I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I use this app once a time. Anyway, so happy New Year to you. We've been having a crazy month. Nikki and I were really busy. We ended up going to Florida for a week, a little over a week. And for Sanibel, which you'll find out about, we were there for an event in Sanibel. It's Daryl letting me know. We went to, they were having an event. So the city of, the Chamber of Commerce of Sanibel was doing an event for the game, release of the game, because Sanibel, the previous 3 years had been hit by hurricanes kind of pretty terribly. The first one was really bad, and then 2 more, and so it hampered reconstruction, and so they're just finally getting it about 50%. So they're just trying to raise awareness, and it was the fortunate deal that Sanibel came out. At this time, it's going to be out in the U.S. here in a couple weeks. And so we went to that event, and then we went to Universal, and Disney World. That Nikki had never been to any of that, so it was really fun. But the place is kind of a mess. We had everybody in here on December 6th for the annual support drive. And I want to thank everybody for supporting this year. We actually, I think, had our highest amount of, we were closest to achieving our goal, only a few hundred away. You can always support us if you appreciate what we're doing. It's boardgamegeek.com/support. But it was really amazing. We had, we did our live stream on, the 6th, where it's kind of a little disaster behind me because we had moved all kinds of stuff around because we had, 10 or 12 people come over for the December 6th Knizia-thon / Board Game Geek support drive stream that we are starting to do. We did one last year very close to Christmas. It was a little too close. So this one we did earlier in the month. So you can watch that stream. It's 8 hours. It's a little crazy. We had people over that we hadn't seen for years. Mark Johnson came, which was great. And Shu and Christina, they have been wanting to come for a long time. We have been terrible because we just can't book it. So we're going to try to have them come over for an actual game night here soon. But it's been crazy. We had a lot of stuff happening, and we're trying to pick up the pieces. So, but yeah. So also, Scott just finished a live stream with Rainer Knizia over on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, you can see it out. That's the second one that he's done, and it sounds like he's going to be doing more of them because he didn't get through all his questions. And Reiner sounded like he was game, but he does not have a ton. He gives him 1 hour, so but it's cool and it's great. There's another great interview around 10 or 12 years ago that Eric Martin did that was really great. That talked about that Rainer Knizia was concerned about his legacy. Just because he's been doing it at that time for a long time, and now it's 40 years. Actually, we're in his 41st year now. And he sounds like, his method is crazy, great. He dedicates specific time, uninterrupted specific time for several weeks, every quarter, to just design games. So that he has no business distractions, because he says he basically, I can't remember what it was. It was maybe three designs a week, or something like that. He just said it moments ago. But it's great. You should check it out. And you should check out the earlier one, too. Am I now muted still? I shouldn't be, right? Hey, Time Roller. Okay, you sound working. Gooser, thanks so much over on YouTube letting me know. So yeah, it was great. We definitely had a good holiday. We had our family over, and that mostly went well. And it really did go well. There's nothing was bad about it. Hopefully we're able to get some things done. We have some filming that we are going to do with Deborah before she leaves for Daredevil, and hopefully that'll happen. Let's cut to the table. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did buy a new nozzle cap for my Ultra. So this is a cap for, let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Let me change my glasses too so I can actually see that. So this is a new cap. Here's the old nozzle cap. And they're both great. The design of this one that came with it is to really protect the needle. And it works great. But guess what? I am like probably more advanced. I mean, I've been airbrushing for a very long time. But I can't, it's not easy enough for me to clean this midstream. You need to clean the nozzle and the needle regularly because it depends on how thin your paint is, but it builds up quickly on the needle and it causes problems. And so doing it this method is you poke a brush in there and it's okay, but I just can't seem to do it quickly enough. So this one here belongs to they've made their system, I guess, mostly, if not completely, interchangeable. I'm not certain about the, I mean, you don't gain the benefits of this portion of the airbrush, obviously, because this is basically the beginner airbrush. Again, I don't need a beginner airbrush, but because I already have like but I wanted to try one, and I used to watch a lot more of Squidmar, and they're still good, but it's just mostly not what I'm interested in. But I wanted to support them when I bought this, and it's cool. It's really fun. I don't think I'd normally want a gold coated airbrush, and you want the higher end ones. If you're good at it, number one, you want a little bit smoother cup. This is okay. I also think I prefer a cup that is threaded in. This one is friction and it works pretty great, but like I still have had some leaks, so you know, I think everything is like, you don't want to push too hard. But anyway, so this new needle cap is you can pop it off. Well, I don't want to do that right now, but it's just got a little split here and it's sort of friction fit. But I can just pinch it to get the paint off mid paint. You know, I mean, it's really great. It's not nearly it's very, very quick, and I generally work really quickly with my airbrush, so it's awesome, and I'm really glad. It was like a $29 or something like that upgrade, and I got it actually on Amazon. I buy some stuff on Spray Gunner, but they are out of stock most of the time with stuff that I want. But it's a great one. I actually am looking forward to using it. We are hopefully home for a little while from traveling. Not that we went as much, but we had, you know, the last few months is always really crazy. And even if we don't go to, which we didn't go to Germany this year, but even then there's still a bunch of stuff that happens. But yeah, Nikki and I burned ourselves out on roller coasters. So I'm going to continue working on, I have only 2 more in the Batman Hush thing. I'd like to get them done because I actually want to play this game on our show. So I have Catwoman and Robin, and I'm hoping to finish them. I was watching some Instagram stuff. Hey, Chad, how you doing? Just seeing some great painting techniques. Wow, this is really quickly adjusting to not the stuff on image. And I just learned, you know, there's so much to learn all the time. And my biggest one is OSL. And that's what I kind of took a deep dive on Instagram. And there's some great stuff out there. And I want to spend more time like doing that. One of the things you need to do to really, I think, do a good job is airbrush, and I have done that. I did a little bit on the Batman one. You know, this is supposedly the light coming from the bat signal, and it's pretty good. I mean, it could be, you know, I mean, I'm learning. It's all fun, and I did do a little bit of airbrush to try to like. But my biggest thing, I think, is my hurdle is changing the way I thin my paints. I tend to the airbrush works. I don't have a lot of clogs, but I tend to think go too thick on the paint. I don't actually use any airbrush specific paints except for the primer that I use. I use Badger's Stynylrez, which I really like. I'm nowhere near complete on the bottles. I think the black one is the one I've used the most, and you can see by this line, I basically have half the bottle still left. At least, let me see here. Yeah, it's about probably at least half the bottle. So I'll never, I mean, I don't know that I'll ever get done with it. But I want to try some of the other ones. This is an older, I mean, it's not ancient at all. I bought this within the last 5 years, I think. But they have like lots of new brands have new versions of primers. And I'd love to try them, but I have to get through all this. I have black, I actually have a lot. I have black, gray, and white, and then I actually have some colored primers for metallics and everything else from them in smaller bottles. So like, this one is a bronze color, which looks kind of silver to me here. I don't know. Maybe you can see a little bit of gold color in there. I want to try to use those more and see how that works. I have used them a couple times, but I really want to try to get into using them. And you know, the metallics were actually probably not necessary. But since I've been using a lot more speed paint contrast paints, you know, you tend to, you might need to try some new undercoating techniques, because that's mostly where I feel. I mean, I did do a Iron Man that I did with a kind of like an undercoating, but I don't think I used Pro Acryl primers. Okay, I haven't used those yet, chat. I'm trying not to buy any more paints, but I really love the Stynylrez. I think they do a great job of sticking, even on, so I painted these a while back. I did them on the stream and stuff, and I had issues with this initially. I'm not really certain, it feels weird. It's got a weird silky feel, and I think it's the plastic, because the paints don't seem to be sticky anymore. Once I put on I ended up putting on a pretty matte version of the, I keep saying primer, of the varnish. I really like AK Interactive's varnishes, and their ultra matte is amazing. So this is a mix of matte and ultra matte, but it really kind of leans towards the matte, ultra matte. It feels great. It's not really a problem. I was really worried, although you can see a little bit of shiny in there in his gap in his wings, so I think I need to get in there. That's from me just doing it with a brush. I have many airbrushes, and I can afford to dedicate one to doing varnish, but both of these are much, much better. Although you can see a little shiny in there too. Let's see here if it'll focus. Yeah, it's very clear. But yeah, these are great, and they turned out really, really well. And Stynylrez went on these super flexible, here I'll show you one of the minis, went on this super flexible miniature. You know, it's a very kind of flexible plastic, and they actually, so we still have the one Nikki painted here. They put it on, I believe they used a spray varnish on this, and it was like just sticking and everything. It's better. Like, it finally seems to have dried. It took a very long time because getting it home. So I don't think a rattle can primer is a good choice for this type of plastic. It really feels much better now, but you know, we packed this like 2 days or 3 days after we left, after we finished painting it, and it just getting here, like touching other minis, I believe. I don't know that that's actually below or above the paint. Yeah, it took the paint off. And I mean, look, I just scraped that very easily. I'm not saying that it won't happen on the other ones. I do treat them delicately just because I'm happy with the paint jobs. Everybody, Nikki's very happy with them, so I don't want to mess them up. I really like the Stynylrez stuff. It's really good, but I do thin it a little bit. So as they started on the Stynylrez trail, I don't thin my paints enough. And the only actual airbrush paints I use are the primers, and I do thin those a little bit, just with water. Go home, you're drunk. What's Nightbot telling us? Oh, Happy New Year. That might have been, well, you know what? I don't think I have the game in here. Let's do it. Let's see if I can remember. I'm not familiar with Nietzsche's Rebirth game. His discussion was great, and I'm interested in checking it out. We have that one, Daryl. We should actually try it. We have not played it either. I was kind of shocked that Scott admitted he hadn't played it, but I also am shocked that Scott didn't play it. What is the thing on this to enter this stuff? I know, let me just, oh, I know what it is. I'm really excited to actually be done with these. The last time I was on a stream, I assembled Thor from Crisis Protocol, and I'm not done with that yet because I haven't touched it since that day. I mean, I touched it this morning, but I was only looking at things. But I would like to move on to some other stuff. Nikki actually got me some Shatterpoint stuff for Christmas. She knows I want to try to get it just to do some other stuff besides Marvel. Ow, that hurt. I mean, I love the Marvel stuff. It's fun, but I really do need to work on something else. I also want to work on some stuff for Warhammer Underworlds or something like that. Oh, crud. So it did do that. Let me do that again, though. Maybe we don't need the link. It's fine. Doris got me bamboo print. Oh, a friend of ours has one of those. I want to try one of those. Oh, actually, Brian got one for their daughter, and then Rusty got one. I think they got basically the same one or similar. I want to get one, too. I mean, mine still works. I have this one I've been using now for it almost is 8 years. I think I bought it in 2018. So it's a Creality. It works fine. I know you had a Creality Ender 3, right, at one point. I never had that one. I've always had a larger bed one. And that's kind of what I want. I want a larger bed. But Nikki we've gotten some, people have given us some 3D prints that are multicolor, and that's kind of what my thing, oh hey, maybe I can show you here. Rusty, I don't know if we brought it in the house. So Rusty got his, and he made a little Lego piece for us. I really want to show you, if I can find it here. He made a little Lego piece for us. Oh man, I don't know if we had put a computer out here, another computer. Anyway, it's a little TARDIS that is meant to go on the Van Gogh Starry Night Lego painting, right? And AMS multicolor add-on. Yeah, that's what. Which bamboo do you have, Chad? I want to get one. I definitely, at some point. I don't. We've spent so much money, and we want to buy a new car, and we kind of need to buy a new car. I just sold my old car to a friend, actually a good friend of Dave's. Not a good friend of Dave's brother, meaning Dave's good friend's brother. He needed a car, and I told him, I'm like, that car's worth more to me than it is to you, but it was just sitting there. It's not like I don't like to drive. I'll drive all the time especially when we travel, I'm like the driver. But, and we like that car more than Nikki's, but we kind of want to get a whole new car. We have solar, and we would like to get an electric car to kind of avoid paying gas, because gas is pretty expensive out here in California. And I think that, the savings on that will probably pay for the car. So we're going to try to do that here soon, but we need to save. Oh, P1S, that's a good one, yeah. So it's just been crazy. And is the Anycubic another filament printer, Chad? I have a resin printer, and I like it, but it's messy. And I can still switch it up and change to using water wash chemicals. The chemicals are still not great. So Brian was wondering if it was worth getting that for his daughter, and I just like, yeah, the mess is not worth it. Especially now I wish I had that piece here. It's here somewhere. I need to find it because that was really nice for us to get. And I also want to get the Starry Night, and it's still available. I thought it was gone. buy as much Lego as I used to. I mean, there's many that I want, but I just am like, we have more than enough to do, you know, for the rest of my life, probably. Yeah, FDM. So yeah, I like FDM printers a lot. I use them to do parts. I've repaired parts. Let's see here, get back to the feed here. I made this sleeve for my pill case. I've got to take pills all the time now. And this case, hilariously, I was showing Scott. Now this was the one I printed and I was showing him, but you have to put a little bit of felt in here in my design because I wanted it to be slide out easily. And this was a new one that I printed in purple filament, and I hadn't had a chance to put that on there and just spilled the pills on the floor because I was telling him how I think these are pretty decent little pill cases. But once you put that felt in there, it's pretty solid. And yeah, I agree. Resin is messy and the fumes are not great. I mean, to be completely honest with you, it's probably not great to have a FDM printer either in the room because there's a lot of chemical stuff going, you know, it's like melting that stuff down. But like they're enclosed, I believe that one that you have is the P1S is enclosed, which is great. This one is not in here, but we mostly I don't run anything when people are around. And I have a vent. I wouldn't advocate, yeah, resin. Anyway, so let's get to the painting this. But yeah, I want to try to use the paints and airbrush stuff at a thinner. So there's a great, so I like these airbrushes a lot. This is a Harder and Steenbeck. To be honest though, I feel my favorite airbrush is a Badger Sotar 2020. For whatever reason, it is not as precisely manufactured as these. It's pretty darn nice, but I have better results from it. And it's a detail. The one I have is a detail airbrush. Now I have all three sets. I can show you. I have all three sets of heads for that airbrush. Although I got to tell you, they had a side feed one, and I only have a few side feed airbrushes. But man, it really almost had me getting one because one of the things about the side feed is you're not obscured by the cup. Now this is like one of the smallest cups. There's a smaller one, I think. There is a smaller version of this where it's just the opening. So you would take a little bit of a paintbrush and just put some paint in, or with an eyedropper. And if you're doing details, that's kind of the only amount of paint you need. But for whatever reason, wow, is that firm? I get better results. You can't see it. I get better results with this needle. Another black airbrush. It's pretty funny. I actually much prefer chrome, but they did a gold one, which there's no way I would have bought that one. And they might have done a chrome one. I wish they would just do chrome. But this nozzle, and it's tiny, I believe. This is the small one. Is pretty amazing. You know, and it's not an expensive airbrush either. This one, this one's probably a little more expensive actually than this one was. There is I think there's a standard version of this now that's of this exact one with the Squidmar design on it in chrome, and then they have a standard one with no engraving or anything like that, or etching or whatever it is. But this one is probably my favorite airbrush. It's really, you know, it has a lot of the elements that have now kind of gotten all over the place. The ability to pull the needle back to clean it and stuff like that. But ooh, wow, it's loose. Hey, I didn't do a good of a job tightening it. Now, you shouldn't put too much pressure on anything. Basically, what you do is you just push it in and then turn it a little bit. But I was going to say, there's a great channel. Harder and Steenbeck has a great channel with Warwick, who gives you tips on using airbrushes, and they're valid for all airbrushes. And he was saying, he gave me, like, he's given a ratio of thinning your paint, and it's not even really, he gives you like how many drops of water or solvent thinner to paint, but he also explains how it works. And the way he determines whether it's about ready is that when you pull So I'm big on mixing paints with the end of my brush. I've done that for decades. But one of the things he does is when he pulls the brush out, if there's the drop kind of just has a little bit of hang before it drips, it's ready to go. If it hangs on the brush and doesn't drip, it's not ready. It's not thin enough. And I have done a couple things with that with primer recently, and it is absolutely legitimate. You definitely want to thin it. And then just build it up, you know, thinner coats that dry quicker, and then build it up that way. Instead of going for the full-on cover in one go. And I have, over time, especially because I generally didn't use most of my primers that were for airbrushes. I mean, I've been using Stynylrest probably, I don't know if it's since it came out, but for a long time. But these bottles that I have, I think I bought within the last 5 years. And you know, you need to worry about freezing and all that stuff and shipping. You know, we don't have that much problem here with cold in Southern California, but you do need to think about it. But it's worth it. I mean, I love using an airbrush, and I feel it makes this this style of painting that I've been doing. Boy, what does Robin's logo look? His little R look like? Is it gold? Entirely gold? They don't have a painted version of this mini, which is a real disappointment. Come on, focus. I'm kind of confused as to why this is doing this. Anyway, so I'm going to use probably this. I guess I pulled out the Imperial Fist. So I use agitators in all my paints. This one has at least one of these medical grade glass agitators that I got from Monument Hobbies years ago now. They come with glass agitators in their standard paints. They're bigger though. I do have, here they are here. I bought bottles and I've not used any of them. I think I did. I got these at Common Ground in Dallas, so it wasn't that long ago. But I'll show you. I think I've pulled these agitators out before. So this is the same company, right? But look at how much larger the agitators are than these. I actually like the small ones because they kind of get in. You can barely see it there. It looks like it's white, but there you go. These little ones are pretty great, particularly for like these bottles. They seem to get, you can't see it because if I turn it, it goes away. But the agitator sits there in the corner of that and actually gets that pigment out. Now this, I believe, is a single pigment paint, or close to one anyway. You know, maybe a red in there too or something. So it's a little easier to mix. But I like to mix them up a lot. You really need to, all the paints. But yeah, those are cool. And it's, you know, I love the glass. There's no question that they're going to corrode. I've had ones that are supposedly stainless steel, excuse me. And something has happened with them. Now, most of the time I shouldn't say that anymore. As I say, most of the time I get through the paints, but nowadays, because I actually have more paints, but also the contrast paints, you know, they're not cheap. They're nearly $8 in the United States. But they give you, it's 18 milliliters, so it's exactly the same as these. This is the other gold I really like, yellow. Ancient Honey. It's funny, it doesn't look so yellow here. I believe this is 18 milliliters as well. Yep. So it's the same amount of paint and maybe close to 1.5 times the cost or something like that, but it lasts a long time. And so did the other paints, so here's the two things that are bad. You knock down these paints, you spill it all over the place, it's no good. These, they don't knock down easily, but this, I'm not gonna play with it because it seems pretty well fixed here, but these come off too easily. So I had this bottle on stream, I believe. So this is the Speed Paint Medium. And these guys, they put steel mixing balls in. So, I mean, it's great. You know, I love that they're all starting to do that. But this comes off way too easily. I mean, there you go. And so I didn't, you have to clear it. And so this is what, the whole point of this is it's saying how quickly you go through, you go through paints when they spill. This one shot out a bunch of the primer, or the medium. And you would think it's like, it's pretty open in there, but there's still a little chunk of stuff in there. And it actually clogs up pretty quickly, so it's kind of frustrating, especially since, you know, they're not inexpensive. These are in the $4.50, $5 range, the speed paints. Although I did notice there was a bunch of paints on sale from multiple brands on the New Year's sale at Miniature Market, and I was knocked out. I don't think there was any Games Workshop paints, or Citadel, but there was Speed Paint 2.0s. There were Game Color from Vallejo, and the I never remember the names of their paints. It's the anyway, it's their Speed Paint equivalent, which I like, by the way. I don't have any. And I really love their new bottles. They're very transparent. You can see the color in them. I only have black and gray, I think, of the new bottles of this stuff. I said I don't use many air. I do have some of the Vallejo older ones. And they're okay. I've used them as airbrush paints. They're pretty, now these are older, so they may not be good anymore. But yeah, so you have to be cautious about those nozzles, and I'm actually disappointed that the ones are kind of messy on the speed paints, because I think the whole set is better now. You know, do they have clearer bottles now? This is better. Now this is Game Master, and it is the Army Painter. It says right here, War Paints Fanatic by Army Painter. It also tells you in this one which color this is in the standard Army Painter line. This is a fantasy line that they do that's, you know, they have sets that are geared to get people started. But this matches Burning Ore, so this is called Wildfire Orange. That is the one weird thing. So I do have, I pulled this out several times. So for example, this yellow is hilariously the same yellow. So this one is called Angelic Yellow in Game Master, and it's called Demonic Yellow in the War Paints Fanatic line. They are, it does say here on this one, I believe, yeah, Demonic Yellow, that it matches. They are, the one thing that this does not do is it doesn't give you the triad system information here. And this also has, besides the fact that it's called Demonic Yellow, it's actually called Vivid Yellow, which is good. A standard color name that is probably more appropriate if you were trying to mix colors and things like that. But I don't use these as much as I thought. I'm really still, I mean, I'm mostly using either, because I have a lot of Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. They actually, Atomic Mass was kind enough to send me some stuff recently. I actually talked to Ross about it. And so they sent me, I don't think oh, here's one of the amp colors. They sent me like a base standard set and then the 2 sets of amp colors, which these are Pro Acryl. They fit in the line. So like the colors are complementary to the existing sets. So they're more things I think that they feel work for their miniature lines, but they don't take the place, they add to the Monument Hobbies line. I have like 50 or 60 bottles of that stuff, and they've just gotten so many more. I don't do that anymore. You know, I mean, I'm trying not to buy too many paints, but it's nice to have some good acrylics. And they're probably the Monument Hobbies are probably my favorite. These War Paints Fanatics that I wanted to try are pretty nice too. But they all have their problems. Like, I don't like these twist tops on the Monument Hobbies. And I also did, let's see if I have another one here. So I have this, which is a eyedropper bottle. It's okay, not great either, because like the lid doesn't seem to really tighten. I mean, I don't over tighten, that's how you prevent it from popping, but it pops pretty easily. Are you using a reference or painting by memory or just creating your own color scheme? Time roller mostly, so this is over on Twitch. I mostly am using, so I love these, painting these superhero things because I don't have to think about the color. So I don't use any color scheme specifically. I choose my colors, but I definitely look at the comic art or the painted miniatures for reference. I try to be, you know, I want people to recognize what it is, and I feel if I do it that way, it's going to be pretty good. And it also gets me painting, because there's nothing terribly, you know, I've done plenty of stuff that are my own color schemes. And I think I painted, I don't even know where they're at here, but I have like some Votan minis that I painted, which are basically the Space Dwarves back again. Those are Games Workshop stuff, and those are part of Kill Team. Actually, it's not true. You can, Votan is part of Warhammer 40,000, but there's these that I have that I painted are from Kill Team, and I think I have, I feel I have some other Votan stuff. I'm not sure why. I've not bought any vehicles, even though I would like some. It's just, I don't want to buy any more minis either. I try not to buy more paints, try not to buy more minis. It's just too much stuff to paint. But I'm very happy to just jump in and paint, and I don't spend as much time thinking about like my army colors. And I never was terrible about it, but I still occasionally would agonize over it, and I'm like, why am I doing this? So there is a new thing. I watch a bunch of YouTubers, and one of the ones I like is Ninjan for the most part, and he has a color. So there's a really great system out there that's a color guide. That it's this box of cards, and you can pick something. This is a design thing, artist thing. And you pick the box. I'd heard about this years ago I think when they first came out, and I don't remember where I heard about it. But then I saw Ninjan talking about it, and then he ended up doing, I'm sorry, it's not focused. He ended up doing, he's doing his own cards, and you know, specifically for miniatures, and he has some really great art from fantasy artists or sci-fi, you know, gaming artists. For reference, and he's going to have these color sets, which is awesome, because you know, you just take this and you like the mood that's doing, and then it recommends the colors. I backed it. It's $100, I think. Hasn't delivered yet. I know that they're, you know, as usual with things, it's always taking longer than they'd hope. But I'm eager to see it. It's kind of cool. I know he has that standard of the color cube, I think it's called, as a reference. So he's going to try to meet that, which is awesome. But I love the idea. Like, you don't spend the time thinking about the color scheme, and you're not going to come to an end result that like, oh, this looks terrible, because you didn't really, you know, color theory is actually valid and helpful. Nikki and I both have art backgrounds, so we both have knowledge and experience with color. But you know, everybody's always like, my mom's always like, man, you know, every time because I'll do something, and I think that I get that from my dad, to be frank with you. I'll have some idea for color, and then she's just like, I don't know that that's going to work, and then it does. But it is, you know, it's important, in my opinion, to just make it so that you don't have it look, you know, the wrong kind of colors going with each other. It is weird, like, although maybe I cheat that too, I don't know. But I love the idea of these cards, because I think it'll be great for people that are just uncomfortable, and you know, you'll just get better. That's part of the whole thing about color theory stuff, is you're doing it, and then you learn more and more about like what works together. I mean, so complementary colors are on the color wheel. They're opposite of each other on the color wheel. You get pretty great results. I'm wondering if that R is black. I think I'm going to make it black. I have no idea. I'm really sad that they didn't. I'm hoping that, I've only learned recently that Big Child Creatives actually disintegrated. They did a Kickstarter or not a Kickstarter, they did a fundraiser on My Mini Factory for Hate. So Hate was a Asmodee game, or not an Asmodee, a Simon game that Adrian Smith did the art for. Eric Lang designed the game. Our friends Annie and Sebastian have a copy of it. And so they did a fundraiser that was just, STLs. And, they did the work on that. They mostly did the CMON stuff. But that was like the last thing I saw, and I did not know that they had folded. Now they're trying to come back and, working on getting that together. There was a lot of great people there. But it means, because, I was hopeful. I paid for the book in the DC Superheroes United. So, I think after the first one, I kept saying, I'm not going to back the whole thing, and then I'd back the whole thing. And so on DC, I was like, they're smart. These guys at CMON know what they're doing. For the most part, clearly they don't 100% know since they're struggling right now. But, they split the stuff over multiple boxes. They did the same thing on the Multiverse one that I was sad because I wanted a captain, what is their name? I can never remember it. I never remember this one. Anyway, the Agent Carter superhero. And I wanted a specific one or something like that, and I had to buy like more, and I was in on the whole dang thing again. Captain... I did watch Aldi's stream earlier. It's very good. I'm really blown away at how he does his stuff. I was talking about just a little bit ago where he spent the 2 weeks every quarter just designing. He gets away, leaves it's not super far away from home, but far away enough that he can just focus on that and not work on other parts of the business, which is really awesome. I guess it's a little further. He goes to Austria, which he said is his favorite, to Vienna, which is his favorite city, but that was cool. You should watch the first episode, the first interview too, that he did at the beginning of December, I believe. I'm not 100% certain anymore now. Hey, Sirk, how you doing? But yeah, no worries. So, there's a Sirk, and it identifies as, my Apple agent, and it just told me I'm so chill when I said no worries. Anyway, I'm just not, I don't know. I guess I insulted it the other day when I was using the tablet and it was automatically doing something I'm trying to get out of it. Like, and then they got offended. So it said I offended them. It was not nice. And now I'm told I'm chill. Anyway, but I really like that interview. Scott has, he used to do, so the funny thing is, I don't know if many people remember, but Scott was one of the earliest podcasts ever. So he and Dirk did the BGG podcast, Geek Speak, I think is what they called it at the time, and then had to change, I think they changed it to Geek Beat or something, I don't remember. They were actually pretty good. I mean, it was usually a little crazy sometimes, but the two of them did a really great job interviewing. And so he'd always wanted to come back, but he didn't want to do it. I mean, I feel like, Scott just doesn't want to deal with that kind of like schedule. Because here's the reality, like the site, he is very involved, even though he doesn't necessarily have any specific projects he's working on. He has stuff to do because, for example, I was mentioning earlier that they were having problems with the load on the site before the end of the year. And so he can't be working on something, he can't be splitting his focus when he has to really deal with those types of things all the time. And I totally understand. Man, I did not do a good job of cleaning this. I have to spend more time on these. This is terrible. So this plastic is better than it used to be by a long shot. I think it's a little harder. It's still not like Games Workshop, or this is the atomic mass ones. These are pretty nice. I don't know if, you know, the figures are big. I was like holding them up. I mean, this is superheroes, so I don't really know scale compared to other scales, but it's pretty good. It's not, they're not as easy to put together as, well, that's arguable too on Games Workshop, but Citadel has improved things a lot. And one of their most impressive things lately is you don't even need clippers on the new ones to remove parts from the sprue. Let's see if I have one here. Here's one. So these are the standard sprues. This is the way these are on this. Let me close this up. This is basically done for now. You know, and you look at the numbers, which don't make any sense, and you clip the stuff off. And so these are the ones from Atomic Mass. I do love this, where they interconnect so that they protect each other. I'm not certain if it's takes up more space in the box. The boxes are pretty big for 4 minis, but it's pretty phenomenal. But the mixing, putting them together is not so great. This is the new style for the Games Workshop ones, and you'll see there's an arrow here. On these arrows, you push the mini at that point and it snaps off the sprues. And you can see the connection points are very fine. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if this is the mini right here that belongs to that. I would guess it probably is. No, it's not. This is one of those minis. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's a hair. Nice job, Lincoln. You snap these off. So I had a little bit of sanding right here on the shoulder, on the thrusters on the pack here. I mean, it's a vent, right? I don't know what the heck these are. But it's amazing how good that stuff is. And you know, this is also push fit, does not require any glue. Although, I mean, I don't know about the pack. It has to be, right? I mean, they're meant to be no glue. Now, I glue them because I'm, you know, overkill. But they're amazing. Oh, something just cut off there. It's really shockingly great. You really should try some of these sets. So this was part of one of their kits that they sell like at Barnes & Noble. And I'm just blown away because speed paints make it easier to paint. I mean, you don't have to do this, right? I'm doing this where I paint it black and then gray and then white from the top, right? To give it the lighting, but you don't have to do that. Let's see if I usually have one here that I painted just white. It wasn't really just white. I don't know if this is a done one, but it's closer. Anyway, this one, I just painted gray cere. I used the rattle can gray cere, and you get amazing results. Like, this is a couple hours worth of work. I mean, not even a couple hours. I was doing several of them at once, like on our final day after Gen Con in 2019. So that was the beginning of speed paints, or contrast paints. And you get these amazing results in no time. You know, you can do even more, and you know, it's another tool in your toolbox, as they say. And you can just do white. You can also dry brush. So here's a dry brushed one that I painted it black and then I dry brushed the highlights. I'm not happy with the face. Don't look at the face. Because I'm not thinning it enough. White, that's my biggest problem with white. I don't thin it enough. But the dry brushing works. It looks pretty good. The face, again, no good. She looked like she had a 5 o'clock shadow or a full-on beard. But you get really great results. The hair looks actually really cool. But I love the airbrushing. So I used an actual, so I was saying that airbrush earlier was the, what is the name of that airbrush? So this was the Ultra, then the Infinity, I don't remember what the middle one's called. this was one of those, Evolution, that's what it's called. I airbrushed it with this in Germany. But you know, this is zenithal highlighted and everything, and the results, I mean, Sebastian could not believe that I was using this paint right here. I think it was bright red. I was using this paint right here, and I was getting amazing results. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to, you know, Sebastian's a great painter. If he spends the time, he can be really amazing, but he's very good and very fast. I'm still nowhere near as fast as him. But like, I got really amazing results in a short time because we were only there for a few days. And, you know, doing other things on top of that. Although this was when I had my heel broken, fractured. So I wasn't doing as much. But you know, cool results, was fast. I could have done things some better, but I also did not. I had to borrow Nikki's readers because when I'm painting, I have to get the miniature to really see things. You need it close or magnifying glasses, you know, like a head thingy, which I didn't have in Germany. And so I was very happy with the end result on that. I absolutely think I'm going to paint that R black. I imagine that's probably what it is. So let's just use some black Templar. Yeah, you'll never know. 100%. So that's the thing. This is Jack Dempsey saying that you don't need to go crazy on it because it's on the table, and I can't even see them that well, you know, because I can absolutely paint finer detail. I mean, this is one of Space Hulk minis that I did a while back. I need to finish Space Hulk, by the way, but you know, I mean, I can do that style as well, but you get amazing results. This took me at least a few days. I mean, I was working full time at the time, but it took me a while to get to this point. And I got probably 4 minis from the Crimson Court here for the Warhammer Underworlds in the same time. And they're great. They're great. You don't have to kill yourself. And that's what I love about this speed paint system. So you have speed paints, you have the new style of minis, and you have push fit. It's like the lowest barrier of entry for these things, and it's amazing. You get amazing results. And just priming it white is perfectly fine. You don't have to go crazy. I just like I like it being darker. I mean, these probably might be a little too dark for I mean, this is pretty bright. I'm picking the brightest one, but like Superman's a little dark. His face especially, I kind of give him 5 o'clock shadow. But you know, he's captured or whatever it is. But you get really great results, and they're quick. You know, I painted Hush in a day, I think. I mean, you know, not a day. Mostly in one live stream and a little bit more after that, and it looks great. And you know, it's 1,000 times better than a unpainted mini on the table. You know. And that's why I'm constantly doing these streams, just to promote that you can do a lot and get amazing results, and everybody will just be super happy to have them on the table. You know, it's really great. And we all have, almost everybody has games with minis in them. And it'd be so much better to have them painted. You know, I've had people, and a lot of YouTubers are like, you should try, you know, not me specifically, but I've had people tell me personally that I should try to compete. Not that I'm that great of a painter, but that it improves your skill. I don't have that kind of edge in me. I don't really want to spend that much time on any one mini. I can't even imagine spending months trying to get something done. I just have too many other things that I want and need to do. But what is this cape? It's yellow underneath there, huh? Okay, I did put that away. Let's try it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I really hope that these guys survive. I hope we get the rest of these, because somebody commented on the stream, I haven't got any of this stuff yet. Oh my gosh, acrylic standees are amazing. Those are the ones that, so I think what Jack Dempsey's talking about is the ones that are printed on a flat piece of plastic. I think that stuff's amazing. It's not as cool, of course, as a mini, but who cares? It's a, I don't know, they're great. I've seen some really fantastic ones. I think Daryl has some too. I can't remember. Somebody was telling me these are like, I'm like, oh yes, they're great. They're really nice. When I first saw a Kickstarter for like fantasy, like dungeon crawl characters that somebody did that had that, and I'm sure it wasn't even the first time it was done. I'm like, oh my gosh, such a great idea. And storage-wise, this is the other thing that is with these miniatures. Where do I put all these things? I actually really need to figure that out. Like, you know, Nikki was going to do this cabinet for me that we had that was left here in the house when we bought this place. And we ended up getting rid of it because it was like, there was no stopping the decay of the, wow, I did not clean this brush. Yipes. Now, again, this is not a big deal, but you really should clean your brushes, especially if this is a very inexpensive brush. But let's see how I can do if I can get it to recover. But Nikki wanted to do that, and it just was like, it was a cool shelf, but you want lighting, and it would have taken too much effort. But I really appreciate that she was trying to figure that out. Sebastian actually has a cabinet from IKEA, the metal cabinet with rounded corners that has all glass shelves. So lighting comes down and you can see all the minis. It's really nice. Those are cool. I just don't have even room for those kind of cabinets. I like some of the ones where I see where they just have them on a, like a art rail where you would normally put art on your wall for review or just for decoration too, but like in a studio, art studio. Those are great, but gosh, you know, they're tiny and you would really want them to be kind of close to eye level. And I don't know, we have hundreds of Marvel United minis, but I sure hope Simon comes through on the DC Superheroes United. I think that they are really trying to. They've sold a lot of IPs lately. So it's getting better. So what I do is I brush and pull with using like my prints in my hand to like kind of help scrub the paint out of the bristles. Now, again, this is a cheap brush, not a big deal. I love these inexpensive, these are Royal Langnickel, which I'm not even, you know, I doubt that they're really Royal Langnickel. They're probably just mass produced in China or something like that. But these brushes are actually pretty great. So yeah, you can see here, I really screwed up. I mean, it doesn't matter, but this is what causes your brushes to fail, is letting paint dry near the ferrule, because it ends up spreading your bristles apart. Yeah, I can't remember who had the flat printed minis. I love them. I really just think it's a great idea. But I also, I mean, that's cool because it's something that's not, it can be a miniature game and not, it can fit in a box. I really like those. I'm hoping to see more of that stuff. But I also get, you know, I mean, I'm a mini painter. I love what this stuff does. I enjoy them. I'm always knocked out by the new stuff, you know. I mean, I've said many times, I always think, oh, hey man, somebody's caught up to Games Workshop, and then you see the latest Games Workshop. So I was crazy for this, for GW stuff for 10 years. And I mean, I never stopped looking at it completely, but I was not paying attention to it for a while there. When we started getting busy with BGG stuff, I paid less attention, even though it wasn't completely ignored, because, as I said, I painted Space Hulk, and I think that was 2009. It was 2009, and then and I bought the next one. And you know, those were good. They're really awesome minis, but like I didn't see like some of the gigantic stuff. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I stopped because I used to get White Dwarf, and I just was not paying quite as much attention. But then I would go in and look, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just so amazing now. And these new ones are incredible, right? I mean, push fit is phenomenal. Now, some miniatures just can't do that. The Space Marines are really great for it because, you know, you can't really, this is the seam here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. This is the seam, right? It's clear when you look at it, but it isn't clear when it's painted and stuff like that. And it's not even that big of a deal. It's like you can see the going around the hinge on the boot or whatever, pivot point, and you cover some of it up with the shoulder pads here. Now you can see inside here that, which you can conceal. I mean, there's ways to do that. I just don't want to spend that kind of time on it. Boy, I'm really bummed about this hair. It's not there anymore, but I'm gonna have to touch that up. But that's the other thing. So there's another thing about these paints. People feel you can't touch up as well with the contrast paints. But I'm here to tell you, you make a mistake, you can go back and paint the gray pretty darn close, and then you almost never see it. I've had plenty of luck with those things. So yeah, anyway. I'm going to use this brush though, that's why I'm cleaning it, to paint the yellow on the inside of the cape. +1 on CMON delivering DC, yeah, first campaign and maybe the last I went all in. Oh, I hope it doesn't happen for Jay Bringas. I hope it doesn't fail. I did all of the campaigns. The only thing I didn't do in the very first one was the cardboard locations and maybe villain dashboards or something like that. I don't remember. And I went, so I think we bought the game. I bought the game. It's delivered in 2021. And we met with a friend that we hadn't seen for years and played the game with the painted main box set. And then I went to Emerald Knights here in sort of near us in Burbank. So look, I've already gotten a lot of that paint out of there. You can really clean it up. You really should do it when you are working. I don't know what I did that day. I must have been in a hurry. Anyway, so I went to Emerald Knights and they had the cardboard locations for $20, which is what it cost in the campaign. I'm like, wow, let me just get those. And then of course, the other campaign was going, I think the second wave, the X-Men based one, and I added all the cardboard stuff. And I was never getting the player mat because it's going to be too big. And then I ended up getting the player mat for the X-Men one. And it's great. And the following one they did actually even made it smaller. The second one edge stitched it. And Scott saw it on the stream when we were playing it. And he's like, oh my gosh, I got to get that. He actually has a great store near him, which I mentioned earlier. Common Ground. They back a lot of Kickstarters and they actually have reasonable prices on those Kickstarter things. And they've had the mats. I almost bought the second mats and I almost bought the DC one, but I resisted on it. So I didn't go completely all in on DC United Superheroes United, because I already have the tokens, right? I have the plastic tokens, and they add one thing to the thugs, I think. And they've said they're going to give you stickers so that you can just put them on your plastic ones. I'm like, that'll be good enough for me, because it's literally 4 tokens or something like that. But I hope they do the painting book. I mean, not that I just like the reference stuff on it, because what I've done for all the campaigns is I download the images from. They usually go through the whole campaign and get them all painted, and on the second set they did, the second wave, they actually painted front and back. The first one was basically 3 shots of the mini like this. One like this, one like this, and one like this. I'm like, can you show the back of the mini? And now they were doing that, like one and the other. And I'm hoping that they do that book, but I guarantee it was being done by Big Child Creatives. And I don't, maybe they've contracted those people individually. I don't know. I'm really bummed. I mean, I'm bummed that they sold. They actually, one of the guys that was at the company is now with Asmodee, and they bought. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm not on camera. They bought Zombicide. So Asmodee has Zombicide now, and he's, I guess, going to run that one. Hopefully, does a good job. I don't know. I mean, I've met him, but I don't know him. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. because they've sold like everything. They still have Cthulhu Death May Die, I believe, and I don't even know if that's just to finish, like they have the Marvel Zombies and the Deceased, which I don't know if that might have delivered already. I don't know. There's actually I'm shocked it's not on my phone. I must have closed it by accident. But there's a tracking. They don't update it enough because they're freaking out, and they don't have a lot of staff. But they are doing games. We did one on the show recently called Collect. That's an actual just regular game, little card game. So they're trying to stay in the business, and they're trying to have stuff in retail. And I wish them the best of luck because I do like what they did. We do know Eric Lang well, and I really liked what he was doing there. And I understand that he basically burned himself out working on, the deep games with tons of play testing. And, I get it. That seems hard. And during the pandemic, like he did Ankh. We played it on it, I think in 2020. He actually played for me because I could not, I think we're using Tabletop Simulator, and I never used it, and I barely use the other ones anymore now. I sometimes, we used to play with some friends, with Scott and some friends, like a non, where you don't have to, gosh darn it, hold on. It's basically turn by turn play, so you could be sometimes days before you get your turn again, which that drove me crazy. Played a game with Zool for like a month. But I don't do that stuff too much. And we just, mostly I'm spoiled. I like playing in person, and we have a group that can do it most of the time. So that works for the yellow. Now clean that brush. BigChildCreatives.com says they're back powered by Titan Force. I wonder what Titan Force is. Or Forge. Titan Forge. I don't know that. That's great. Asynchronous play, yeah. They sold Cthulhu Death May Die. They did? Did they sell that to Asmodee, Jay Bringus? See, I missed that. When did that happen? Anything that's non-IP, they probably are getting rid of anyway. Man, when did that happen? That's great. I'm somehow missed that. I'm so glad that Big Child Craze is not gone. They are really good. They do, they did these minis. They did them, and they were painting them for the campaign. They did, they do, like, I'm pretty sure they did Ankh and stuff like that. They do, busts and everything. They're just great. Interesting. So has him on a gargoyle. In the art, they have them on just a rock outcropping. Why is this not focusing? Wow, I'm really good. I don't know. I hope that's good for them, because they also got messed up by. So they were doing a. I wonder if this is a rock or it's a. Like the Chrysler building. I'm going to do it like the Chrysler building. Gosh, was it Ammo MIG or AK Interactive? They did a paint line. I think it was with AK Interactive, and basically AK Interactive just took it from them, which I had heard nothing about. I'm like, what? Like no credit. I don't know. It's all terrible. So I'm going to use use the primer too here, or the medium. Sold to Asmodee in October. Wow, I don't know how I missed that. Because I feel like that would have been when I heard about Zombicide. Maybe they bought it at the same time, and I just blanked it. not surprised. But yeah, it's not great. The whole thing is just terrible. I hope these guys survive, all of them. You know what I mean? And you know, Asmodee still doing okay, I guess, with having dealt with all the, you know, the split up and all the debt that they were loaded with. I hope they do okay. People were not worried. You know, they were getting money from big banks. So Stephen Bonacor's like, if they're getting money from that kind of stuff, they're not worried. I'm like, okay, that's great. You know, he definitely knows that. He comes from the world of finance. Yeah, I don't know. I have like the Cthulhu, I have the big Cthulhu, but I don't actually have Death May Die at all. Wow, this is really getting low. Now I have a full-on, I bought like the big bottle of speed paint medium. I need to probably fill this up because it seems pretty low. But I spilled a lot when it was putting it into this fidget tray, and it just shot like the whole way, like filled with the stuff. And I was able to use some of it and put some of it back in, I think, that was in the clean ones. But you know, this is not clean. If I did that in here, I would be not using it. So I like these metallic speed paints. They're pretty amazing. I wish GW would try to come up with their own thing on it. They probably just don't want to deal with it. It's not really the same, but they actually do work like kind of like a speed paint. Gosh darn it. What time is it? Thankfully, I don't have anything I am crushed to do. Hey, it's 11:49. I still got a little bit of time. And you know, Games Workshop's doing ridiculous business, of course. Pandemic was ultimately, I think, really great for a lot of companies like that. Okay, so you saw me use this, but I didn't necessarily explain it. This is just now there's yellow paint on here. This is a paperclip that I drilled with a pin vise into these brush handles that they give you to protect your bristles on the, they give you one for every color at least, to kind of like stand it off inside the container so it doesn't rest on the bristles. And I just drilled and put this in and stuck it in with super glue. And it's great because somebody was like, you should just use a paper clip. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Here's what Daryl's saying. Per Asmodee site, Cthulhu Death May Die will be part of the lifestyle play type of Asmodee. The transaction will have no material effect on Asmodee's financial performance. Well, that's pretty exciting. But yeah, you basically need to poke and make sure that the paint won't shoot out. Because you know, it's a dropper. And if it's shooting out, it's not a very good dropper. So I'm gonna put a little, got hairs, or not hairs, but fibers in here. I need to actually clean this. I actually meant to do that, but I got wrapped up watching Scott's stream. And I'm gonna thin it out a little bit and see what I get here. I kind of want to go for a weird look for it. Now, theoretically, I'm not going to trust it. Also, maybe hold your finger on the end of the nozzle part of this bottle thing so it doesn't squirt out all over the place. So I did a couple drops of the speed paint medium. That is the major cool trick of speed paints and contrast paints. You must use the medium to get the greatest results. I was very disappointed with the flesh tone in the contrast paints. There were two other like alien kind of, or maybe orcs or something like that, skin tones in the first wave. But the human-ish flesh tone, which is Gilliman flesh, I was disappointed with it. I'm like, this is not good. And you know, as I said, I'm in art field. I know what medium is, and it never occurred to me. And I might have even, I'm pretty sure I had the speed paint medium, as a matter of fact, because not speed paint, but contrast medium. I think I bought that right away. but it didn't occur to me like to reduce the intensity of the color, just put in contrast medium. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so that color is like my favorite color because you can get really great variety of flesh tones. It's gonna look metallic-y. That's okay. Maybe I'll do a little bit of bright silver highlights on it or something. I do love these paints though. They flow really amazingly well. I don't know what they use for their metallic particles. Yeah, Death May Die is interesting too because that's Rob Daviau and Eric Lang, which is really cool. And you know, they've done several waves for that one too, so I don't know. Probably should be black on the back end of this, but whatever. Express Colors, oh my gosh, yeah, I love Express. I couldn't remember the name earlier. Uno Maestro, thank you very much for even mentioning that because I was trying to remember the name. So the Express Colors work very similarly. I really like them. I only have ever really had any interaction from my friend Sebastian, who bought a lot of that stuff because he switched to Vallejo like entirely. And he had some of he had a space gray or something like that that was an amazing color, and I actually was hoping it was in that sale because, as I was saying earlier, on Miniature Market, a lot of their paints are like $2.99 a bottle. So if you want to get some speed paints, some Vallejo Express Colors, they have them. They also have some of the, I think they might have had the Air. So the Army Painter Air paints, which I'm not sure, I know people use them, and so they're probably pretty darn good, but they, I don't know if they're changing their formulation, but they were the first ones to use the triad system colors. So they would have 3 specific colors that work together for a light, medium, and a dark color, and it's pretty awesome. They really have upped their game on their paints. Plus they have new brushes that are supposed to be amazing, synthetic brushes, which I need to buy some. Not that I really need to buy any brushes, but I do want to try them. So Adam, Uncle Adam on Tabletop Minions is a friend, and he was telling us about these brushes a while back. I feel like it was 2 years ago, but I think it must have been last year. And they finally came out, and he's like, they're really good, but they're expensive. You know, they're expensive, but they're not expensive. They're cheaper than synthetic, than Sable, and I don't know that they're better than Sable, but everybody that was testing them thought, because you know they were doing blind tests and different handles and stuff, so nobody knew, and they're like, oh, this is my favorite one, you know, whatever, and it turned out they were all freaked out about these synthetic brushes. Adam is a synthetic brush aficionado. His original set that I still have that one in that he did with Monument Hobbies, was a great set of synthetics. But those are supposed to be nice. But yeah, they've been doing so much stuff with their paint lines. So I think they had some older paints in there, but they also had a lot of the newer ones. Speed paints and Express Colors and Game Colors. At $2.99 a bottle, it's pretty great. So if you want to, you know, I'm always like, don't buy a set, you know, but like if you have a project that you're thinking about working on, look at what colors you might want to get and just get them, you know, really try them out. The Express Colors are really good too. They're really good. their intensity. There's a great channel, Stolly, Tale of Painters. He reviews colors. He's got really. I actually need to be on his Patreon because I watch his videos. I'm not always on top of it like the latest one, but I'll always catch up. But he also does color chips so that I think he's a photographer, and he knows how to color correct, to get the white balance correct and everything, and he paints them all on the same thing. So it's a great way to check what colors you're using. And you can compare to see like what, he had done a couple of sessions where he was like comparing metallics, comparing speed paints. Hey James, how you doing? I have the first 2 seasons of Death May Die, that and Eldritch Horror, that has that Lovecraftian gaming wrapped up for sure. I also want to try. I'm excited about that new one from Chaosium, I think it is. I think that Adam Kwapinski did. I know that there's like a couple different things, but they did like a Murder on the Orient Express kind of story, which I'm excited about seeing. I don't know if it's great, but I was very intrigued. We like the Lovecraftian stuff. Somebody said, so Nikki was putting these little clips up and asked people questions, and she asked Dave if he'd ever played Arkham Horror, and he's like, no, I haven't. And somebody said, lies, it's a lie. And I'm like, no, it's not. Dave has never played Arkham Horror. He has played Arkham Horror card game, but he never actually played Arkham Horror. That's Aaron loves that game, and we one time played. I mean, Aaron has the painted minis, and we played like a big day. It was fantastic. That had to be 10 years ago or more. But it was so much fun. We came over with some other friends. It was really a good day. Because, we mostly play Arkham like at cons. Almost never get to play it at home. And I have all of it. Not bad. More new games have arrived. Waiting on updates. Oh, the Puerto Rico Special Edition, yeah. By the way, James has, I don't know, maybe you can put it in the chat there. James has like a year-end review that you can do where you put in your BGG username, and it shows you like, those wrap-ups. It's called BG Wrapped, or I think it is BG Wrapped. It's great. It's really fun. He said he put my name in there, and I don't track games that I played, so it's not super exciting for me. But others, I had my friends in there, and Aldi's was in there. It was pretty cool results. It didn't work there. Send me the link, James, and I'll in email. And actually, you know what? You have it in the email. Let me just go look up the email, and I'll tell you what it is. It's pretty cool. It's a great idea. I wish that BGG would do something like that. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll need to talk to you. But it's a great idea. BG Wrapped app. Okay. It is https://bgwrapped.boardgamesjames.com. So Board Games James is BORDGAYMESJAMES.com. BG Wrapped. Pretty cool. It's a fun idea. I love those things. I'm just not active enough on anything. Somebody sent me their Wrapped for Spotify, and I barely use Spotify. But I did use Apple Music, and I mostly listen to it when I'm flying on the plane. So I'll download recent albums. But the other thing I kind of got into, because I've for 20-something years I've loved, actually more than that. But for the last 20 years, I had DVD audio and Super Audio CD mixes. I love surround mixes. Like, one of my most favorite experiences is a band I loved when I was young called XTC, and they had their album Black Sea in a DVD audio mix, because I think it's before the Blu-rays really started to take off. And it's not Atmos, it's just a 5.1 mix. But oh my gosh, I sat in the middle of the room and played that, and it was like the guy was singing right in front of me. It was so amazing. And the other musicians, you could hear them around the room. It's incredible. Some people are not intrigued by that. They think it's terrible for the mixes. I'm like, it doesn't replace the mixes. It doesn't, if you play like the Atmos mix. I think it's not a great version. It's called Spatial Audio, and it is a Dolby Atmos mix on Apple Music. I think Amazon does it, but I canceled Amazon because it was too difficult to actually get it to work. I think you had to use their speaker system, which I have some of their speakers, but I'm not buying all those speakers just to listen to that stuff. I have Apple TVs and things, I mean Amazon Fire Sticks and Fire TVs, and like, can't you just play it through that like Apple does? Because that's how I listen to it on my stereo, is through my Apple TV. I'm a gadget fool. I have a soundbar that pretends to be Atmos, yeah. But I love it. I love it. So when I did my summary, it was like, you know, all these older albums that had done Atmos mixes and then a band that we really like, Ghost, has been putting their albums out in Atmos mixes. So I was all excited about all that. So I think this should all be black. Actually, I should look at some other people's paint jobs. That's another great thing, man. Reddit has a great community of that, and I just love looking at people's paint jobs on that. Some people are just so phenomenal. But yeah, check out James's app. It's BG wrapped. Let me look at it again. It's fun. And you know, I love logging games, but when we started doing Game Night, I stopped reviewing and I stopped logging, because I wanted to like keep it a surprise that we might be doing. And then again, I don't want to, like, we're promoting the hobby, so we only play games that we're excited about, and we generally only feature games that the people are mostly positive about. I mean, most of the time Nikki and I we like the game because we picked it, but not all the time, right? You know, most of the time I've had one game Nikki loved and I just was like, I don't get this game. Now, it was one that she played a whole bunch before I had a chance at it. So anyway, it's https://bgwrapped.boardgamesjames.com, and the board games is BOARDGAYMES, James JAMES.com. It's pretty cool, but neither does Nikki. He asked if I tried your username, but nothing. And he says, "Is Nikki track?" I'm like, neither. She's better about stuff like that, but I don't think she tracks it anymore either. I used to be amazing. Like, I did all that. I did reviews. I mean, I'm where I'm at with board games because I actually followed like what Greg Schlosser and Rick Thornquist and Scott Alden and maybe Dirk. I think Dirk Solcrow might have done it. They would put little blurb reviews for the games. And so when I was new to the hobby, I found BGG literally the same night I played my first Euro game, which was Catan, and I learned about games, what to look for and be interested in from those reviews. And so I did the same thing. I just like, you know, hey, this is good. It's awesome to see what people are saying. So if you see a game you like and then you look at a review and that person likes it, then you go look at their stuff and you see what reviews they did. Believe me, I had a pretty great collection. When Scott came to visit us 10, 12 years ago for the first time, he's like, you got a great collection, because his room where he was sleeping was our game storage room. I'm like, well, you know, you influenced that. That was because of people like you, that BGG. I learned tons about games, and I got really, I was the guy, I was the alpha buyer. I was acquiring everything. So, because I was just, you know, very excited about the whole thing. And trying to wick up some of the pools of paint here. And so yeah, it's great, and it's a great way to do it. But once I started to really kind of advocate for games in general, we stopped doing that because I don't want to say anything bad. Now, I'm probably a kinder rater than most, but I also love most games just unabashedly. I'm a huge fan of a lot of stuff. And so I stopped doing that on BGG. And you know, we're probably going to do a top 10 video for 2025 or something. But I don't even love doing those because it's not, I mean, I've talked to Derek about Tom, because Tom loves to do that, Tom Vassell. And he's got like a cool system, I guess. I don't want to put that much thought into it. I'm definitely grumpy about that. Did you prime the mini gray, or is it is very visible? Uno Mastro, what I do is this. So I prime it black. This is a Space Hulk, Space Marine Games Workshop. I prime it entirely black, and I get it as covered as I can possibly get it. And I do that all with airbrush, but you don't have to. And then I spray it gray at a 45-degree. This is overkill. You don't have to do this, but I spray it gray at a 45-degree angle. You know, I go around like this. And then I spray it white from directly above. I do tend to cheat a little bit where I will, let's see if I can get this to focus. Come on, this is shiny, it should focus. It's focusing on Robin. Come on, focus. So I'll paint directly above. I will tend to go a little bit whiter on their faces. I want their faces. I still try to have some shading. I don't make it just straight white, but I like it to have, you know, this was, I didn't even paint the face on this one. I just left her white. I find that you get great results this way. I mean, I've done almost everything I've shown here has been with that zenith, what they call a zenithal highlighting. And then I do these paints that are mostly they're sort of transparent. You know, it's kind of like a glaze. And you get great results because the shading is already there. Contrast paints and speed paints also contribute to it by the way they settle. I just showed, I think it fell over here, but this is one that I painted and it was just entirely painted white. But the way the paint settles, you get shading by it settling into the recesses of the sculpt. So, you know, like this was just literally the color. It was, I think, a basilicanum gray that was thinned out with, hey, there you go. I'm using basilicanum gray thinning out with contrast paint, contrast medium. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I should have used it on skin. But, and, you know, I did these blends and stuff like that because it's wet when you're doing, you know, contrast paints take a little bit longer to dry, but once they dry really fast, though. But you get really great results just either painting it straight white. I would not do it straight black. You're never going to get the way the paint works. It's mostly transparent. I mean, like here on his cape, it's mostly, I had some where I specifically brightened it up so that it was where light is coming through, and then it's shaded underneath here, shaded under here. Well, it's kind of very brushy looking. Anyway, you do a thin coat and you get it lighter, and you can do multiple coats, and you can, as I was saying, one of the things I generally do is I use the speed paint so this is, I'm almost out of this bottle of contrast medium, and you can see one of the mixing balls down in there, the green ones. You can add this, and I generally like to creep up on the intensity, meaning I like to put more contrast medium in and then just keep adding coats when I'm particularly using this stuff. But even when I'm doing it on a white primed model, I mean, I should do a white primed model again. I haven't done any for a little while. Again, I used, as I said, I used Gray Sear. Gray Sear is a cool color. The other one that they have is Bone Wraith, which is a warm color. And then they also have, I think it's right here, they sent this to me 2 or 3 years ago when they did 2022. So they probably sent this in 2022. They sent me this. I haven't used it. I should. I'll just try it one of these days and do something with it. I don't love spray primer, but I was happy to get it to try it out. And then there's also some great stuff out there now. Monument Hobbies sells Color Forge paints. Those are from the UK, and it's hard to actually get like rattle can paints shipped over. There's actually a fantastic rust effect paint that I used on, I can show you the paint here that Sebastian did on this Gaslands car. So he primed it all with this rust. It's an amazing color. I can't find an equivalent in the United States. And I was trying to import it. I don't think that yellow is supposed to be there. Oh, you know what? I think that's the yellow paint underneath that chipped off, which is fine. I mean, I love it. But man, I love that rust. I was trying to, I bought another one that was kind of, it was okay. I have something somewhere where I painted that, but man, that stuff was amazing. But you can't get them. So I was real happy that Color Forge is in partnership with with Monument Hobbies, and they're selling them here, so you can actually get them for reasonable prices, and they're no problem importing them. But I feel like you get really great results. It's very quick. I love using airbrushes. I've been using an airbrush since I was a pre-teenager. My parents bought me an airbrush when I was young, and I love it. I've always primed that way. I've never primed with, I mean, I have primed with rattle can, but I really don't. And as a matter of fact, when we were in Germany and we're with our friend Sebastian, he does the rattle can priming. He does it for me. And then I will prime the zenithal on top of that with the airbrush. But he's like, you know, people that complain about cold weather and all that, he does priming in freezing cold weather. I think he gets the stuff outside, does it all at the same temperature, lets it dry, and then brings it in or something like that. And I've had no problems with it. Like, it's amazing. So let's get some black paint on the palette here. This is getting near the end of this bottle that I have of black. This is my first bottle. As a matter of fact, you know this is, I think, maybe this one isn't. Well, it's made in Canada, which Paracroll is now made in Arizona. This is Monument Hobbies. What was the white one, though? Was that the one? I thought they said Creature Caster on them, but they used to work with Creature Caster from Armstrong, British Columbia. Anyway, so I'm getting near the end of this bottle. I've used it a lot. Yeah, Jack Dempsey says, not to say that, mention not every stage of life or hobby needs to be the same forever and ever. 100% true. You had your review phase, now you're going on to something different. Ooh, that's a good idea. Maybe do some, what I should do is like make it, not copper, but copper verdigris, right? That would be kind of cool too. I watched a video, somebody on, gosh, who was it? On Instagram, doing a figure that was black, I believe, or silver, I think it was silver, and then I don't know what they were using to give it like a brassy feeling, and then they did the verdigris. Gosh, who was it? And it was amazing, amazing looking. I should look it up, I know. Nikki said I sent her the link, and now she's getting his stuff too. I don't go on Instagram enough. Do I even have it on this phone? I kind of don't have social media on my regular work phone. I do think this is on here because I think I do my work social media on here. There's Instagram. Let's see if it actually recommends it. Now I'm now scrolling through the stuff here. I don't get it. I don't know what I do. Maybe because no, this is my personal one here. Anyway, the guy's great. I think he's in Spain. Really, really great painter. Oh, you know what? I can look at my message to Nikki. Nope, but I can actually click on it and it'll tell me. El Miniaturista. That's who did it. He did really cool. That was the first thing I saw of his. And it's really nice. As a matter of fact, last week's, so I don't know, maybe that was why it popped up in my Instagram, because I don't really go on social media very much, but last week's Ninjon, he covers the fluorescent, oh my gosh, that's another thing. That's how I found it, was through looking at object source lighting. He has some amazing work. Now, you know, it is video, and so, you know, the fluorescent colors are a little bit pumped. Hey, thanks for the follow, Kofi Kittenston. Ben Vinci video has a cheating video on something like that. He's amazing. So that's the first guy I watched, Vincent Venturella, when he barely had anybody watching his stuff, and I was completely knocked out by his attention and like his input and his self-criticism. It's amazing, and I don't know if he still, for a while there, he was doing it only as for fun. I know because, you know, I met him a couple times because Adam Smasher develops games with him now, and first of all, he was super tall, way taller than I expected, because he has his camera pie. But I was like, man, that guy's tall. He's just great. Like, he was doing it, didn't want any money. Now he's got a Patreon and stuff like that. And you know, come on, these people do so much work it's even if it's for with Patreon, it's amazing. I actually am part of a couple Patreons, and I kind of want to do more because I really love it. And if these people are willing to put that kind of effort into it, I mean, I actually looked at the El Miniaturista after watching, because I'd seen it and I'm like, that's cool, and I didn't really know anything about, like, I didn't dig that deep into his stuff. But after actually on Friday, I watched Ninjon's video, and I'm like, wow, I kind of want to get on his Patreon just to, he's got like painting tips, and you know, and he makes a good point. Ninjon makes a good point about the Instagram painters, because, you know, I follow Elle Firespray. She's been, you know, she's a streamer. She's streamed and she's been very nice, and I met her in real life, and but, you know, the Instagram ones are meant to be short, so they cut it down, and you don't really get the whole process. And, you know, I absolutely can learn a lot from others. I've mentioned on our stream many times here, one of the guys that got me into the painting hobby modern times, because I used to paint miniatures when I was younger, but, you know, like World War II and things like that, was our friend Alf, and we actually saw him for the first time in at least a decade at a Christmas party, and I learned from him, like, and I'm not even good, like, he's amazing at wet blending, and I was kind of heartened to hear that he's actually kind of getting into hobby with his nephew, painting some stuff. I was like, well, do the small ones, don't do full armies anymore. Because, you know, I actually have a bunch of Eldar. We used to call them Alf Fire Sales. He was selling off all his, he was getting into Dark Angels, and he was getting rid of all of his Eldar, and I bought all of it. And, you know, he never tried to get the money put into it. He got his enjoyment out of it and was just getting rid of it, you know, just so he could focus on the new stuff. And this was 23 years ago, 24 years ago. But yeah, he was great. He's a great painter. I learned a lot from him, and I still didn't get it all down. I'm okay at wet blending. I actually am much more successful at it with contrast paints. And that comes down to, so when I've actually had success doing wet blending, I use, I don't even think Alf used this at the time, flow improver and retarder. Retarder slows down the drying time, and it's amazing. Like, that's just some cool tools like that, and I've done much better. Now, I've done those things in the last 6 years. I think maybe a little more than that, I went to, gosh, it had to be earlier than that. It was probably 2017 that I kind of learned about retarder. I did not paint with acrylics much when I was, only through my airbrush. So when my parents got me an airbrush because I was in art classes in high school and middle school, junior high, and so they got me that airbrush, and I airbrushed acrylics. and I learned a lot. But I didn't really, you know, airbrushing acrylics is different than painting acrylics. I don't know. I'm trying to recall if I painted any paintings as with acrylics, kind of like an oil painting. But I oil painted, and so, you know, obviously it's easy to wet blend in oil paint because the paint doesn't dry for a long time. But let's see. You give him a few bucks a month. Yeah, he's amazing. And I'm telling you that Stolly is amazing too. He, it's very, very high intensity kind of paint videos, but he covers all the paints. And somebody told me they felt that he was weighing his decisions on something. And I'm like, I don't think you're right. I think he legitimately looks at each one and tries to be as objective as possible. And they look, it's like just the color swatch system that he does alone is worth it, I feel. And he's growing slowly. I'm kind of sad. I mean, he doesn't do weekly videos. Like, weekly videos help a lot for that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, verdigris would be awesome. So that's the trick. He was using, so there you go, there's something I don't do. He was using white, this is El Miniaturista, is that what I just said his name was? Using white on a little bit on that one. Because he was doing it on a lighter thing. He was doing I believe like a fluorescent green, probably like this one, but with, I feel like it had to have white. I don't know. I need to look at that video again. But that was a while ago. That was I mean, I don't think it was that long ago because it couldn't have been, but I only found it in December, I believe. Let me find it again. There he is. I mean, gosh, you can't really see this stuff, but you should check him out. I mean, this one's amazing. This Necron Raider. Gosh dang, I can't believe I remembered that. But that's like all fluorescent stuff. His like power weapon arcing stuff is just ridiculous. It's a little bit wet. There you go. So when was this posted? Does it have it in here? So this is the first thing I saw. So yeah, there you go. He's putting it very thin. And you have to keep adding it because I mean, sort of, if you want to build it up. So it's going backwards. This is where you can't really tell, but he's putting on whatever that is he's in this little deal. Oh, you know what that is? I'm a knucklehead. I have that right here. I was thinking that was like some sort of, he was doing dry brushing. I thought he was using some sort of metal stuff, but it's one of these. It's one of these. The verdigris is amazing. So that was black. It was gray primed. Gosh, can I get it back? Kind of gray blue, right? Yeah, blue. And then going on it and then doing the verdigris. It's amazing looking. You know, I mean, like that's such a fun, and it seems like it's relatively quick. Of course, once again, it's doing it's doing it with very quickly showing I mean, he's clearly talented. So yeah, that was a little while ago, not super recent. I wonder why that popped up, and I was really excited to actually see Ninja talking about it, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is like that kind of skill to that super bright, intense OSL kind of thing. That was, it must have not been him though. Well, I had to have seen it. I feel like I saw something, but I didn't see that Necron Raider till the video the other day, I think. Or if it's in the video, or if I went and just looked back at his stuff, because I was really impressed. And he has like 30,000 people on Patreon. Now, not everybody's paying, but hopefully a good amount of people are paying. We've talked about it for game night. I don't know. We can't do it right now anyway, so. But I don't know that we would never get 30,000 people, I know that, but. Cool. I definitely think I want to try to do a verdigris on this. That would be fun. But yeah, it's fun. I'm just trying to encourage people to paint. It's not that hard to get some nice results. And you have painted minis, you know, it is really great. So many games. So I painted, I think I started doing the streams. Well, no, I started doing streams with Scott during the pandemic. We just didn't have anything to do, and we kind of like fell into it about like everybody else did, I think, during the pandemic. We just had time. And so we would stream together, him and Dallas, me here, and actually was set up on. So this is the same space that we shoot the show in, and I was over on the table doing it, and I was super worried about destroying things. So I set up a space over here where we already had the table. This is actually my old drafting table here. When I was, I didn't really draft on it very much. As a matter of fact, it was not. So it was my boss. I worked in college. I worked for an architectural office. They thought I was talented enough, I guess, to work on homes and stuff like that. And I did that with 2 of my instructors. And that was kind of where I learned that I don't think I want to be an architect. As much as it was great, I always tell people, you know, you have the, I mean, you know, this was just that experience. I did stuff, continued to do stuff, but not like that. Basically what would happen is you get the project outline, they give you the budget, you design the space, and then when it's done, starts the cutting, right? Because the cost is high. You know, the realities of a project, it's expensive to build a home, and this was 25 years ago. Is that right? Yeah, 25 years ago. You know, cutting back your project was never fun. Now, I don't know, I didn't talk to the main guy about it much. You know, he had lots of experience with it. And so I got to design custom homes, and that was fun. But none of them were, I mean, there was one, just the excitement of actually the first thing that I laid out and designed getting built, and walking into that space and going, wow, this is much smaller than I imagined, right? That was the first. I mean, it was what they needed, but in my head, it was much bigger than it ended up being. It wasn't that small, but that was a big, big lesson right there, like getting space figured out. Anyway, there you go. He looks pretty good. I mean, I'll do some more on him. Probably do some standard acrylics. So, you know, I'm always, sorry, it's not focusing. I'm always using like straight white, and that's helpful, right? You can go in and do like some edge stuff and then come over it with the contrast paints or the speed paints, and it works pretty great. I actually do that on the hair nowadays on some of the minifigs. Let me see if I have any over here that I've done. I don't have a ton out. Yeah, here's the original. I think this is the first one, second one I painted. I painted Black Widow a few times. So this one I did some, not dry brushing, but I went in and painted the hair on the edges, and then painted like strands of hair on the top here, if you can see that. Let me see if it'll focus. And then put the color, because it's transparent, on top of it, and it looks pretty cool. You know, you get some nice results. Again, this is the 5 o'clock shadow thing. She's not as good as, she's better than the other one, but I need to finish that other one. Try again. You know, and you can strip it and all that stuff. It's not too hard. I stripped some minis semi recently. I just touched that paint like a knucklehead. It's mostly dry. Hey, there's a hair stuck in here. But yeah, you know, it's not that hard to get nice results. Start small, you know, don't paint a whole thing of our army of stuff. And you will be surprised at how, you know, everybody's like, I wish I could paint like that. I'm like, you can. It's really not that hard. You just have to temper your expectations, try to build, you know, to your paint to your skill level, and then stretch a little bit, you know. I mean, what I love about this stuff is I'm just, gosh, I think my hair is in that stuff. It's absolutely my hair. You know, you learn techniques and improve all the time. I cannot believe I did this wet palette and I didn't do any, I've done one color on it. So what I will say now, I never leave my wet palette anymore. So I have this, it's not a very big one. Let me zoom out a bit. This is from Game Envy. I've never backed their, I liked their one that they had. I didn't back though. I didn't need any wet palettes. I have the ones from Red Grass, and I have, so it's not that big. You can see my hand size. It comes with the sponges. This is their paper, which I believe is probably similar. It's like a vellum. Vellum is like, I have a lot of experience with that with architecture. And then this is the lid for it. There's a turbodoc. You can see it sat on a piece of plastic and it just transferred the color off. It was very weird. I tried to clean it up and it was a mess. Anyway, I wanted the turbodoc one. So the one that Ninjon had was bigger. I didn't want a big one. I wanted the turbodoc though because I wanted this silicone wet palette. Palette, which I love. So, you know, I use the fidget poppers. This is kind of like that. Has vents and stuff. It's okay, but I've had nothing but troubles, whereas I used to have no problems with wet palettes, where I would put them in the fridge and they could sit at 2 days, no problem. These quickly mildew. And so now what I do is I just clean the, as a matter of fact, let's see, am I almost done for the day? Yes, I am. So I'll show you what I do real quickly. I wipe this off. This is actually, I've used this paper several times. And that's part of the thing. It makes it so that I'm not feeling bad about, I'm not wasting the paper necessarily, but I clean it off. It's a little messy today, but it's black. I'll clean it off a little bit more. And you can also rinse it, but I generally don't have the time to do that. So that's a little messy. I had a lot more paint on there. I usually clear it off more before I do that. Use more of the paint, you know. And I generally will paint the black. I'm trying not to mess with the paper too much. You want it to stay, the fibers do not get disturbed. Because what it's doing is the water wicks up through the paper and keeps your paint wet. And it really does a great job. So what I do is I'll dry it off a little bit, and then I just let this dry between my paint jobs, and I'm really going to try to be out here more painting on off days, because I really, number one, want to get further, and I actually really enjoy the taking it easy and doing it. So I let that dry. I don't want any mildew, so then what I do here is I take the sponge. This is interesting. They have a dual layer sponge, 2 different kinds of foam. Now, if I'm going to come back later today, which I would love to, but I don't think I'll be able to, I might just leave this and put it in the fridge. But since I don't know that I'll get today, maybe Friday will be the next day I can do it. I just squeeze out as much water as I can. And I try to use it more than I did here today, by the way, but I have not done it any time since this was a smaller black mark the other day. So you can see there was where I was the last time I painted with this. So this might have been used 2 or 3 times now. And then I just drain the water. I have a rinse well over here from, yeah, as a matter of fact, that was my first consumer wet palette, was the Masterson wet palette, which is good. You don't even need to buy a wet palette. Adam has one that he shows on his stream that, and I think he still uses it, that is made out of a Ziploc storage container. So I have this rinse well so I always have fresh water to rinse my brushes. Just gonna put that in there, dry this out, let it all dry. And then the next time, what I do is I wet the sponge and I'll just leave this in here to dry out. And then usually what I do here, let's see if I can do it today, is I just lay this on the palette to dry out. I often put it on the lid though, which I will do today, because I don't want any mildew. And it's wet now, so it's more like, you know, like we've had rain, which we don't normally have. So that could be also contributing to it. Like I had one of these sponges like start to mildew. They claim it's mildew resistant and things like that. It started to mildew really quickly. And I'm like, once that starts happening, you can't stop it. As a matter of fact, let me show you an old one. This is a very old red grass. This happened in the palette not too terribly long. Look at that stuff. That's bad news. Like this needs to be thrown out. And you can't have, you know, it can't happen. So I have I bought the copper, Game Envy had some copper weights, which I've used here on the show. And I've had those, and you know, pennies and copper wire supposedly stops it. Does not stop it here. I don't know what's going on. So, but you know, this is a nice kit. They give you like 50 sheets of the this is called Exemplar, is what their wet palettes are called. So they give you sheets. This is fine, by the way. This paper is totally fine. I really like Red Grass's reusable paper. So they call them. What do they call them? So here's Red Grass's bottom palette portion. So this is what the tray is. I kind of like this tray a little bit more than the others, and I like the plastic, but the other one's great. It seals up pretty good. And the vent is actually cool, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I should try it again and just seal it, but I don't want any mildew, right? It's just bad news. But this has seemed to be working. I have not had any troubles. It's like, why not? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to reuse the paint. Almost ever will I ever reuse the paint. Because, you know, it's like if I mix something, I'm actually, I think, decent enough at mixing colors to not have to worry about that. So, anyway. I'm going to wrap it up for today, but I will be back a week from Thursday, I believe. So we're going to do a game night stream on Thursday. Wonder if you put some isopropyl in your water, if that would prevent the mildew. Maybe. I could try that. I mean, it's weird. Like the only time I ever had mildew problems, which was my old wet palette, which is over here, which I can't even pull out. It's a service tray or something. It's enameled metal. This is Nikki that introduced me to the wet palettes. I didn't even have anything like that when I was in school. But this was, she learned at Art Center. It's a wet palette that's a tray that is a metal tray that's enameled white with blue rim. And what you do is you would put, you know, sponge or paper towel and then your vellum on top of it. She would also just do that with, you would just mix on that palette for oil paints. But you do that on there, and then you cover it in cellophane, which I have a big box of cellophane that I've been using for decades, and probably not that long, but for a while. And you just stretch it on there and do just fine. And I think I've only complicated things by going for more and more wet palettes. Now, I showed you that was that one. Now, that one was an old one. This is the first red grass palette I got, and I had backup foam. So this is, I found this the other day, well, not the other day, a couple months back probably now. And I'm like, wow, why do I have that? Get rid of that. But I don't want mildew, you know, it's terrible. So yeah, here's the other red grass one. This is perfectly fine, right? And this has been used many times. It actually is the one that fits in this tray over here. As long as you just don't, but I really like this one. It's now the new policy. I don't even put it in the wet, it was so quickly that it was mildewing. I'm like, what is happening? Now, again, been in the last few months, we've had more rain than usual, but I feel like that's not 100% accurate. Oh, I'm showing you this stuff and the camera's not there. Anyway, you guys take care. Yeah, I showed that. Let me show you I'll show you the stuff, the wet palette here. So this is the red grass one. And they're good. This is their second wave wet palette version 2 or something like that. They're great. And then here's I don't know if I showed the mildew. But yeah, this is the mildew. Like, it's crazy. So definitely, you don't want that happening on your paints. So, and I got rid of it as soon as that happened. Now, that was one I actually left it in there a couple months, which you don't want to do. So that was not a shocker to me. I'm not angry at the the red grass palette. That was, again, the old one that I had, which was like the XL or something like that, which they don't have. The exact equivalent, I don't think. Like, the sizes changed a little bit between the version 1 and version 2, but those are great wet palettes too. But Game Envy has a lot of great stuff. They keep doing Kickstarters. I bought their brushes, the Phalanx brushes. They seem to be good. I haven't, they're also, Sable, Kolinsky Sable. Anyway, you guys take care. I'll be back. Thanks, Jack, for saying that. We love sharing it. Nikki and I really love sharing the joy of the hobbies. It's super fun. We have gotten so much from it in our life now. It's crazy. And, everybody share the same thing. Get out there and play games, and it's an amazing hobby. Like, we have learned so much and met so many wonderful people around the globe. And it's all because games are such a fantastic hobby, and it's a very social thing. That's what's really great about it. And we're social animals. So you guys take care. Let's see if there's somebody to raid on Twitch. I'm sorry, YouTube folks, you won't be able to join in on that. Let's go to I never remember. They've changed this stuff so many times. I think it's the Stream Manager. Stream Manager. Yep. Let's see if somebody's streaming. Amanda's, hey, you know what? Amanda's probably live. Let's just go over to Amanda. Whoever stuck with me, I don't know how many people are left. She's already probably on the front page, but everybody's here. Click on through if you want to go. Amanda's great. She's playing with Dave Luza. So let's start that raid. If you want to join in, go ahead and go for it. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Have a great one. Let's see, did the raid work? Nope, it's going to go raid in a couple seconds. Take care, everybody. Thanks, YouTubers. Thanks for joining me. It was really awesome. I appreciate you all being here. And I hope you have a great week. It's only Tuesday, so we still have some week ahead of us. And we'll be streaming on Thursday. So if you want to check us out on Thursday on a standard stream, take care. We'll